Once we'd used the Mintzberg framework, we realised that the classifications were pretty dry. So calling a household a bureaucracy isn't, all that wildly interesting, and it's a very business term. So one of the things that we thought we would do is to overlay animal groups onto the classifications of organisation structure. And the reason we picked animal groups is we wanted to be able to create materials and marketing collateral that we could use with customers to engage them in what is a fairly uninteresting topic for them, and that's energy use. And so we knew that we couldn't use pictures of people, because as soon as you put up a picture of a 28-year-old female who's an office worker, the 50-year-old male farmer doesn't identify, and it's an irrelevant picture to them. So we needed something that was gender neutral, age neutral, human neutral, but still kind of human. So what we did was animals that we personified and made to look human, that made it a bit fun and that people could identify with. So we had to identify animal groups that reflected the characteristics of this organisational structure category. So for a bureaucracy, we looked at animal groups, and the one we picked were the bees and the ants. So they're very structured, very hierarchical, and when you say to someone that your family operates like an ant colony, they can kind of get that. It means that you've sort of got a bit of a shorthand heuristic with then communicating with people, because they already understand those animal groups. It allows you to be a little bit playful with them, and it also allowed us to create quizzes with households that very quickly put them into these different household groups that we could then use to direct them to household relevant content. So if they did a quiz and it said you're the beehive family, then there could be a link that would take them to information that's relevant to the beehives based on what we know how that family operates. So it allowed us to create consumer-oriented materials. It allowed us to create a way of engaging in a fun way with consumers. And also it allowed us to get cut through with the energy industry themselves in a way that helped them to be more customer-centric. And we know that being customer-centric is really important in the energy sector. We also identified 2 anti-personas, and these were households that were not going to be able to be reached in the way that we were looking. So we were looking at technology in the home and how the connected home and various forms of technology might be able to help people better manage their electricity. So through the household interviews we did, and we did quite a lot across the country, involved 118 different people, we identified 2 groups that technology was not going to help and that you would need a different solution for. And so these are called anti-personas, and we identified the camels who were older, had their routines and their habits, and they weren't going to use technology and change. And we had the Brumbies who were younger. They didn't want to be shackled and tied down. They wanted to run free like the wild Brumbies. So they were 2 groups that we were able to identify with those anti-personas that you would need a different solution for. So personas can be used to identify who to work with, but they can also be used for who not to work with. A key challenge is being able to communicate the benefit of personas to technical audiences. So when I'm talking to marketers, they understand the need for segmentation, they understand the need for qualitative work and personas. I find when I'm talking to technical people, and that could be anything from a health clinician through to an engineer, it can seem a bridge too far. Magic is a word I've had used. And so trying to make it concrete and showing how qualitative work can be used to inform large-scale expenditure and be representative in some way of the broader community can be a challenge. And that's why we followed up our qualitative persona work with quantitative segmentation, and we got the exact same result, which for us was great, because that's something I can now use when I talk to policymakers to say, well, we can do the whole box and dice, we can do all the quantitative work, but actually sometimes all you need is a really robust qualitative study to unpack and discover what's really going on. But sometimes it's about communicating the benefits of that to an audience that's used to seeing hard data and numbers and not using visuals and cartoon animals.